Really excited. Thank you so much for having me, Aaron. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
It is.
So we are live. Okay, so we are live in three, in two, and one. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. Today, we are joined by someone who apparently has recently joined VisionCast with JC and friends, a great friend to us all. He is Nolan Parish. Very cool name, by the way. That's a great name for a podcaster. I understand that you are a
Yes.
podcaster and that you have a lot of different topics that you want to talk about. So your hour to talk about your podcast, what you do, and all the different areas that you want to dig into today and your life story. So just start talking about stuff, and I will help you along the way. So your hour starts now.
Hello, everyone. As Aaron said, this is Nolan Parish, the special guest here on Aaron's Opinion. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself first. Like I said, my name is Nolan. I'm blind and visually impaired. I'm also cognitive impairment. And I have so I started podcasting, digging into podcasting with the help of a couple of blind individuals. I will not tell their names because it's public, and I accidentally spelled out my full name. I need to apologize for that. That should not have happened. And due to personal information safety reasons. Also, a little bit about my podcast. I Nolan's Technology and More is a podcast where I do demos of apps, products slash devices, interviews, and much more. Now, what I mean by that? Well, you'll see in some detail. And as Aaron mentioned, I recently joined um, VisionCast with JC and friends, and I will be joining them again tomorrow because this is going to be fun and we're going to have a lot of fun. So I'm going to now hand it to the hostess with the mostest, Mr. Um, Aaron.
Thank you.
Who,
Sounds good. Sounds good. So I first want to kind of unfold a little bit more about your background.
sure.
So far, have you been now, were you born blind like me, or did you become blind a little later?
So um, that's a great question. I so I was born with ROP.
Hmm.
And um, I so where I started, um, um, when I was a premature baby, I was able to see like with glasses, but then I won't get into much of the detail, but a individual knocked like when I was at a school, and I won't tell the school name because it's public information for safety reasons. Um, Basically, the background, like, where I was born, I was at where I when I was born in um a place called Bronson Hospital up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's where I was born. And then I, I lived in Michigan through all my entire life, and that's where I am still today.
That's perfect. That's perfect,
Yes.
man. Okay, understood. Now let's, unfold the podcast a little bit further. So, how did you get into podcasting and what really lit a fire under your ass to get into podcasting in the first place?
I'm glad you asked that question. Um, what got me into podcasting, um, is I got interviewed by two blind individuals out of the state of Illinois, who were running a podcast together. The individual that was running it has a YouTube channel, and the podcast used to be Daniel's Technology and More. And that's when I started digging into podcasting. They used a app called they use an app, Anchor, which is now called Spotify for podcasters.
Okay. So these guys interviewed you and what did you speak about with them? And are they still in the podcast space today? Because they sound like interesting people like you who we should have on Aaron's opinion. So what do you think?
Um, I'm definitely feeling comfortable enough to maybe reach out to them after this podcast and talk with them and say, hey, would you guys be interested in jumping on Aaron's Opinion podcast and be interviewed by um the host of the podcast himself, if that's something you guys would be
Mm-hmm.
interested in.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's try to figure this out a little more. Like, how did those people come in contact with you, and how did, how was the connection made between you and Daniel?
Um, we I started becoming a listener of his podcasts, and that's when it spiked my interest to get in touch with him and Megan Cheatham at that time. And that's when pieces got together. They interviewed me, asked me some questions like, is there anything that it's kind of hard to remember what they asked me, but at that time it was it was a fun um it was a fun uh podcast that they had, and I enjoyed it, and I still enjoy some of his YouTube videos on his YouTube channel that him and another individual
Mm-hmm.
run together.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's really good. So do you think these guys are still involved in podcasting now and do they still have their YouTube channel up and all of that?
As of right now, they're doing YouTube videos. And they don't do podcasting right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're still in the YouTube space.
That's good. That's good. I can understand that, because the audience that you get in a podcast and your viewers on YouTube are two different groups of people, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's two different audiences to consider. Generally, Nolan, I find that people who listen to podcasts, my audience are people from all over the world. So it's a smaller audience, and they are people from all over the world. And then with YouTube, usually you have more people in the United States, a bigger audience, but most of them are clustered in just a couple of countries usually. But as channels grow, they also grow internationally. So it does depend. But the podcast space and YouTube space is growing a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
it really is. Mm-hmm.
you're on the same point, and you hit the nail on the head there, Aaron. 100%.
Well, thank you. Good. Yeah.
Um,
So then after you had this experience with Daniel's technology and more, then, did they talk to you about getting into podcasting yourself, or what was your motivation and how did you get into it? Hmm?
I actually stepped my foot into the water first to kind of see how Daniel and Megan run their podcast on Daniel's Technology more and how they did that before I could delve into the Nolan's Technology and More podcast creation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still available now today. This is a revamped version, started on August 25th, 2023, and it's been alive ever since,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a revamped version of Nolan's Technology and More. So,
Well, okay, very, very good. So how does Nolan understand technology, right? What does technology mean to you? And here's what I mean. I created an opinion show because I want you to share your opinion, right? And I think that opinions matter and that oftentimes people are silenced from sharing opinions that others disagree with. And I have a problem with that. So I wanted to
yeah, I
create a space
agree
where
with
people
you.
could come up and share their opinion, right? That's how I
Yes.
understand opinion. So how do you understand technology? What is technology, by the way?
Like technology
Hmm.
usage, wise, how to be safe online, how to protect yourself from vulnerability, security
Hmm.
threats, accessibility wise, how you need to be a little bit more um, protective of not only yourself, but also protect your family uh, from dangerous threats. So if you want to try to help them, you can also have them help you. So that's why we are here to help each other grow and be more productive in this day and age.
That's true. So those are things that you are interested in when we speak about technology. But please let us know, what does technology mean to you? Like, what is technology nowadays? There's a lot of new stuff. So how do you understand it? What is technology?
Um,
Hmm.
Technology mean to me is like I there are times I do things that can be misunderstanding, miscommunication, where I may get into a situation where um where it may involve use of not so kind words, and my
Right.
parents will take the Apple devices away from me to help me get a better understanding of how to not use that kind of
That's,
language.
you know what? I think this really segues beautifully into our next segment or our next discussion, which is that you
Yes,
have some pretty strong feelings about how we need to use technology and what are
yes.
and are not appropriate uses of technology. So let's break it down. First of all, let's start out on the bright side of it. Let's start out on the bright side of the tunnel, and I guess work our way backwards up to the darkness, I guess. So
Yes.
let's start looking out on the bright side, which, trust me, I'm a proud pessimist, and anyone who knows me will tell you that Aaron Richmond is not an optimist. I am as pessimistic. I am the definition of pessimist. Okay, but let's let's pretend. Actually, it says right here in the Webster's dictionary the definition of pessimist. It says right here. It says noun. It says a person named Aaron Richmond. There you go. Page 497. Okay, but let's look on the bright side. So, what are the appropriate uses of technology? How do you interact appropriately online? Because I think there's a lot to be learned how we interact appropriately online. What do you think? And just answer that part of it first. Go ahead.
So basically, um, personal safety, how to set boundaries for yourself, and how to, if you need to, like to restrict access to certain parts of the internet, like um how to protect yourself from uh child pornography videos like on YouTube, and
Mhm.
how to be more adult oriented, and how to set your own boundaries. And if you, as a parent or guardian, feel that your son slash or daughter is not respecting that, then there's consequences that have to be involved.
Right, right. I could not
Mm.
agree with you more. And my parents are and were overly strict with me. And
Mhm.
as a child, I was always confused. I was always wondering, why are they so strict? And then I grew up and I realized I'm glad they were as strict as they were, because I'm seeing a lot of problems, not just with people with disabilities like you and I, Nolan, but I'm seeing a lot of
Right,
problems with people who are sighted, don't have a disability, and still can't use technology properly. It is really,
right.
really scary. I mean, you and I have disabilities, right? So it would be
Yes.
a little bit understandable for either one of us to get confused about the appropriate use of a technological device once or twice a year. Okay. But I really think it says a lot about society that we have so many people who are supposedly able-bodied, but still don't know how to use technology appropriately. It's really scary. It truly
Yeah, it
is.
is.
It's
And
very disturbing. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Um, you have to be very, 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 very careful.
Overly.
And I'm going to tell you something that happened in the past. I was on a platform called Clubhouse. I don't know if
Uh,
anyone
I
knows.
so we know of it here around the Aaron's Opinion family. I created at one point. I created it like I didn't. Well, let me rephrase. I created an account with them, but I
Mhm.
never really got a lot of use out of it. And what has kind of overpowered Clubhouse now is of course Discord. Discord has basically kind of I don't want to say crushed out Clubhouse because it didn't, but more people have gravitated in the direction of Discord. But yes, one of the content creators that's been on the show was on the show a very long time ago. She used to use Clubhouse a lot. Now she doesn't use it
Mhm.
much anymore either. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Talk to me about Clubhouse. Go ahead.
So basically, I had an issue where I got Clubhouse bombed.
What do you mean, then,
And
Nolan? What do you mean? hmm
where
hmm
I made a very bad mistake of giving out my personal information on the Clubhouse platform, and it was
hmm
not safe. And my
Mm,
parents told me you are not allowed to install Clubhouse on any of the devices anymore because of what you
right.
just did.
Right, right. And you obviously don't need to answer, but do you mind if I ask what type of personal information you accidentally leaked out?
Yes, my name, address, and phone number,
Oh
email
yeah.
address, and date
Yeah,
of
yeah,
birth.
yeah. Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, no, you can't be doing that. People,
Right.
unfortunately, and that's why people. That's one of the reasons why Discord is so popular is because there's a level. Two things with Discord. There's always anonymity. You create a handle, and it's not necessarily. It could be your name. It could you like. In other words, you could go to Discord and create Nolan Parish, but oftentimes, content creators like us, we just use Aaron's opinion. In my case, right? So you
Right.
kind of have to hide behind your label a little, but yeah, you got to be overly careful online, and even in encrypted groups, you have to be even more careful actually, because those are the groups where people would feel overly comfortable. So you also so just because a group is encrypted, it doesn't mean you can let your guard down. Actually, you have to be more careful in an encrypted group actually. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I
yep,
agree with you
yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Good. 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 Well, I do understand, but I never really did much with Clubhouse. I don't know. It was kind of a good idea, but I just felt, and this is my opinion of it, I just felt that Clubhouse just kind of was all or nothing. It would be a couple people at the top who had these huge clubs and these huge rooms with like
Oh,
hundreds or
absolutely.
thousands of people listening in. And there's really nothing wrong with that. But I don't buy the argument, and I'm just giving out an opinion. In my opinion, I don't think Clubhouse really, it just wasn't really enough for me. Like it just didn't really do the trick for me. It just didn't fulfill all of my needs, and it didn't really have enough to do. Whereas if you go over to like a Discord server, there's channels, there's information you can learn, there's ways of connecting with people private. There's just more ways that we connect now. And Clubhouse is great for talking to groups of people. And that was the point of it.
As long as you're careful and not giving out information that you shouldn't have.
Well, that's true. So don't give that out. But as long as you were doing those things, that would be good. But then the other trouble with Clubhouse is that Clubhouse was based on the principle of basically followers, right? Where
Yes.
where the more followers you have, the more listeners you have. And the problem, and I'm not even saying it's a problem, right? Because
Correct.
it's not, this isn't a problem. It's just the Achilles heel. You know what the expression the Achilles heel is, right?
No.
Thank
Please
you for telling me.
explain.
No problem. Well, it comes from an ancient Greek philosopher, and his name was Achilles. And as the story
Right.
goes, he wanted to play. Now, okay, now get out the keyboards. You guys in the chat, you guys are gonna roast me for getting the story wrong. But he wanted to play. Achilles wanted to play football, and so he ran around all day, and eventually he twisted his heel. He twisted his ankle. And then he was so upset about something like the story goes something like this. He was so upset because he couldn't do the physical activity that
Right.
he asked the sports god or something like that. He asked them, "Hey man, why is life like this?" And he says, and supposedly the ancient Greek mythological god told Achilles something to the effect of, "Well, everybody makes mistakes in life, and everybody has to live with them afterwards. So that's your Achilles heel." Meaning
Mm,
it's the little thing that holds the system back. So what I'm saying,
yes.
to go back on the, just the philosophy, philosophizing and opinionating about my opinion of Clubhouse, was that Clubhouse, Nolan, was never, if the problem with getting followers and subscribers and things like that is it's great, but the reality of it is the more followers that you have, the people with the most followers pull in the most listeners, and then people at the bottom can't move up because the people at the top have too many listeners. And I have no problem with it, really. What I'm saying is, it's just that's just the technological flaw with that, is that it creates an equation where it's harder and harder and harder to move up as time goes on. Whereas with YouTube is hard to move up in the algorithm, but the more content you do at better quality over a period of years, then you know that you're going to gradually move up as more people discover you, as you have more material to offer. And certainly with podcasting, I think podcasting actually presents the least bad or the best option because it encourages people to rate and review. And that
Yes.
formula of encouraging the audience to express how they truly feel, that's what moves podcasts forward, which is why I'm sure, Nolan, after this conversation, you may choose to rate Aaron's opinion and also write up a review in saying how you enjoyed being a guest today and here's what you learned by being a guest. And that would really help because all that information goes into how people will eventually find out about the content. So
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. 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 So that's what you have to be careful of, is these follower based apps, or these apps where people have to follow and create a following. They are great, but it presents a misnomer. It presents a misunderstanding of knowledge.
And some
Yeah.
danger of
And
technology
some
usage
and
in
some
the
risk,
wrong way.
or in the right way, depending on how you use it. But what
Right.
I try to create here, and what we try to work on here at Aaron's Opinion, is creating a system where people can come and share their knowledge. And obviously, things that are knowledge based are things that grow very slowly, but when they grow up, they're very powerful. So, knowledge is always power. And that's something that I always think is true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's understandable. So maybe someday you can get involved in Discord a little bit and experience some of the things that you could possibly do there. There are many great groups. I know that we posted our invitation in the International Blind Cafe in Discord, which is an amazing organization, an amazing server to join, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just found out recently, and I don't know if you guys heard about this, but iAccessibility also has their Discord server as well, their own community
What's
Discord server.
what's I accessibility?
iAccessibility is where they focus on different um it's a podcast network and a website all in one digital platform basically that Michael Doise and his team that works behind the scenes they run it together. They run a company called Techopolis Solutions. They
That's cool.
work.
Techop. That's cool. Techopolis. That's a good name for anything. Yeah.
Yes. Um, they have they have a team of they have podcast they have people from different type of perspectives coming on doing their shows on the feed, get them published. And there's two, so there's one, so there's Taylor Arndt that works with him.
Mm-hmm.
She's the accessibility auditor. And then there's Michael Doise himself. He works on the development of apps and
Ah.
also website management.
Phew.
And
This guy sounds like someone that Aaron's opinion should talk to. It sounds. I think
oh,
you're gonna have to get me in touch with some of these people, man, because we need to have we need to have a little conversation over here.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. And also yeah, I'll have to. Also Marty Sobo and Michael Babcock, they
Mm-hmm.
run Unmute Presents, and that's also run on the ACB community channel on ACB Media 5 on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, they will um, allow you to raise your hand when you're on Zoom with them. Um, there's one thing to remember: no dumb questions. So it's technology related questions that you may have. So they may give you an answer
Right.
that you may or may not expect, or they may find answers for you. And if they are not, um, if there's not enough time during the show, they can allow you to email them at unmute
Mm-hmm.
dash or feedback at unmute.show.
That's
Excuse me, I said the
that's
wrong
good.
email address.
Okay. You know what? Let me just tell you that I here at Aaron's Opinion definitely like what these people are doing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can already tell how much you enjoy them. So you and I we need to have a little, today I got some stuff going on, but you're definitely going to get a call back from me because we gotta sit down and start getting some numbers here. I got to start getting some phone numbers programmed in for these people because these are the types of philosophical discussions that I need to have, and more importantly, I need to learn from them. I need to get some more info about these types of things. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really good. It's really good that you're participating in the ACB stuff on Facebook and ACB Radio and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I
I
don't
know
use
of them. I
Facebook
know of
actually.
them, but I know of ACB and I know of their products that they've been working on, but I'm not as familiar as I should be. So thank you for reminding me that I need to get in touch and I need to get a little bit more familiarized with their content for sure. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
they do have you can get in touch with they have two,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll tell you they have two offices, one in they have a Minnesota office,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's one in I can't remember which state it is, but if someone on YouTube can tell me where there's one
Yeah, guys,
available, that would be.
comment below when you see this or even when you're listening. You guys can, of course, as I usually say in the intros and outros, but I'll say it here. So if you know where these offices are and if there's any ACB fans, I have a question. I have a question for ourselves here. hey there out there in YouTube and podcast land, do we have any secret ACB fans who are listening who are ACB people? So if you are from the ACB or NFB or anything like that, let us know. I would love to hear from you.
If you are
1240.
also part of an organization like Michigan
Mhm.
Council of the Blind and Visually Impaired, we would like to get in touch with you as well. We'd like to get
That's
you
true. That's
connected.
true. 1240 681 9869. 1240 681 9869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. If you have any questions, comment below on the video. So, absolutely. I think it's really important to learn from each other. And I think that that's a quality that we all need to improve on. I mean, if I were to say what is one thing that we all in society could improve upon, it's listening actively to other people and trying to learn from the right people and trying to absorb other people's knowledge. That's really what I hope, Nolan, and that's what I've always hoped by producing these episodes for you, is that I hope that in the years in the future, you'll be able to go back to it and see how much of a help this is, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And also,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a special interest affiliate, state
Mm-hmm.
interest affiliates for ACB.
Mm-hmm.
There's ACB Next Generation,
Mm-hmm.
and there's also um, a whole bunch of special interest affiliates too that we can also get in touch with,
Mm-hmm.
and state affiliates of American Council of the Blind. We would love to get those people involved, and so that we can sit down with them, get to know them as well, and have them jump on uh, Aaron's Opinion podcast as well, and would love to have you interview them as well.
Absolutely.
Another
Yeah.
and the other thing is Deb Cook Lewis, you could probably reach out to her at president@acb.org. That's the easiest way probably to get in touch with her, and she can get you uh, in touch with the people that we need to get in touch with through ACB.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, very
Yes.
good. Well, I have a feeling that you're going to be doing a lot of sharing of this episode. So why don't you share this video with them? Why don't you give this episode a share, Nolan, and then see if you can kind of just kind of secretly help Aaron's Opinion to bridge a connection here. That would be super good. Yeah.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
could do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep. Yep. Good. Good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That would be super. That's super, super good. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's some other technology related topics that you're very passionate about. Why don't we go into those topics too? Because you have a
Yes.
lot of so tell me, talk about it. Mm-hmm.
So, accessibility wise, mobile apps, I've seen apps that are not very accessible. Like there was one game, where, um, I don't think I want to go into the app store and look because I don't want to take up too much of the time. But there's this one game that I tried to play. It's based off of a TV show that Ellen DeGeneres hosts, and who is a developer of an app. I can't remember what it is. But they screw when I tried using the app, I can't remember which app it is, but it's a screen recognition for some strange reason. Did not do very well. Did do somewhat very well, but it grouped some of the buttons together, which I did not appreciate.
Right.
However,
So I think what you should do is you should reach out to the app developer and let them know. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yes, which I've already wrote a review on the App Store, and told them about it and said, "Look, I'm blind and visually impaired, and I'm trying to play your guys' game,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to play with a couple of friends, but the problem is accessibility. This is not working very well, and I did not get a response,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's not very helpful."
It's not. And regardless of who an app developer is, anytime they get reviews of their product, just like anytime we're able to see reviews of a podcast, we need to listen to that. We need to read the review. We need to figure it out, because that is really important information. And I do have a problem. I guess I really do think that rather than building an app and then worrying if it's accessible, we need to start with the accessibility and build an app from accessibility. Now, I'm not an expert about it. I will gladly put you in touch with some people, provided that at some point you can get onto Facebook or create a Facebook page for yourself, Nolan, because I know a lot of these people through Facebook. Um, they are not with us at the moment. And if they were in the audience, I would certainly bring them up to the stage and have them talk to you about it. But I did interview someone who's an accessible game developer and is very, very, very knowledgeable about what can be done. I mean, I'm curious, did you post this particular review, this particular, did you share your story in Accessible Games for the Blind, I think is what the group is called on Facebook. There's some accessible gaming group on Facebook. And if you had posted it in there, you may have gotten some good like feedback and some good
No,
information.
I have not because I used to use Facebook, but I don't anymore because
Mhm.
of my parents don't want me using Facebook because of bad things could happen like we've talked about earlier.
Right, right. And I understand. So I think you need to learn how to use Facebook well. And then after that, you need to eventually get back into that and create some sort of account so that you could be added to these various groups, um, and things like that. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's what you would need to be able to do. There's a lot of people that I've connected with through Facebook groups. Um,
Also,
mhm.
for my birthday last Monday, I received a Oculus headset, and it's a VR
All right.
um, headset.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if we can reach out to them and see if they can implement a screen reader that could be available on the headset
I thought there
because
was.
there's not.
Really? I was under the impression it was. Let me just put it like this. I see another trait or another skill of a podcaster is that we need to admit when we don't know things, and we also need to admit when we do know the right people. I can put you in touch with a particular person who you should maybe email with and bounce ideas back and forth off, who would know what to do and know what to say. That's
Okay.
not generally what I've been able to do over the years. It's not my area of expertise, but I do know several. One of them has been on my show before.
Okay, so what screen reader is available for the headset that I
I don't know.
can use?
I don't know. I don't have a headset,
Okay.
but I'm sure that this other guy definitely does have one and would definitely know. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's really interesting. So what types of experiences have you tried to have with Oculus?
Tried playing a game on the Oculus headset, and it's a roller coaster game. And my sister and I don't want to get too personal, but my one of my family members and I, we actually played a roller coaster game, and we were going to try to find a game that would be accessible for me. Um, I was able to kind of tell between light and dark, like
Hmm.
what is coming like movement wise. I'm not too sure about. It's hard to explain. Like
I see. I see. Just the thought of, I mean, I love roller coasters like in real life because I definitely go on big roller coasters. But just the thought of like putting on a headset and having a game where you're on that just kind of makes me dizzy just thinking about that though. Like, isn't that kind of nauseating? Just
yeah, I was just about to get sick being
that's weird.
on the virtual roller coaster,
That's
holding
really.
both holding both the sticks in my hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, It was very vibrating at first. It was a little challenging.
So, what is the point of this roller coaster game?
The point is to stay. I don't know how it's implemented, but you gotta make sure you're not um getting hit by an object or some sort, but you gotta make sure you're like making some sort of a movement like with your head the and with the controllers that are in your hands.
Uh-huh. So it's like a game where
Mm.
you're on a roller coaster and what like people like throw eggs at you and you have to dodge the obstacles.
Yes.
That's, that sounds very just whether you're blind or sighted, that sounds like just very disorienting. That sounds like that would just
Yeah,
be a
it's a little
disorientation.
awkward.
That's
Especially,
that is weird. That is really, really strange. But so Nolan, I
yeah,
mean, how much
one
vision?
of my
Yeah.
family members has asked
Hmm.
me like, "Can you see anything out of the headset?" And I was like, "Yes, like I can see shapes, but it's coming very fast and because of a lot of movement.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's hard to
Yeah.
tell.
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
see I can see the gray light
Hmm.
coming from the headset
Right.
specifically."
Right. Right. That's very interesting. And then I guess how does the game like progress through levels? Like how does it get harder and harder?
I really have no clue,
Hmm.
honestly.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I see. I see. Well, that is very, very interesting. Hmm. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, that's really good. What are some other games you've tried to have experiences with?
Um, that's all I can think of right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen other games on that thing. One of our other great Aaron's opinion buddies, illegally cited. I recall that he played with his Oculus at one point, and he was in some like nature scene, some like nature game where you're like in the wilderness and you have to like if I do virtual reality, I would want to be like in a natural environment for virtual reality where you're like actually doing things in reality. That's where
Yeah,
I think it's truly useful, to provide some sense of, you know, to provide some sense
absolutely.
of peace and nature and tranquility for people. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. hmm hmm Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good.
I found that
Um,
I heard that the Oculus
mhm.
also uses the MetaQuest app, and I have found that that app is accessible for voiceover users. But
Mm-hmm.
I have some mixed feelings about the app because I don't know how to use it yet.
Right, right. Now, I've never really played around with this technology that we're talking about here, so I wouldn't know, but I do know people
Right.
who would definitely know. That's the difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I'll have to research who that person was now. His name was also Aaron. But I do I do remember who it was. Oh, we have someone from one of our great communities. Someone wants to take a seat in our audience. Let's bring them in here. And they will be on mute. Um, but anyway, as a matter of fact, let me just do something here, Nolan. Let me just take a closer look at that. Okay, let me see something here. Oh my, ooh la la. Okay, I have another.
Oh,
I'm also a French speaker, by the way. Je parle français. Uh-huh. So I use some French expressions. Yeah, we have. You did a wonderful. That was a wonderful talk, man. I actually,
yes.
Nolan, if do you mind if I bring Hans up on the stage because I'm sure they want to introduce themselves. So do you mind if I bring them up on
Yes,
the stage?
please.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and actually let's bring them on here. Okay. Um,
Sure.
Hans, you are now I unmuted you, so you are welcome, Hans, to come up to come up to the microphone and talk to me and tell me where you're from. And you're welcome to ask a question to Nolan. And I think this timing is actually very good. So Hans, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And what about you?
Yes, I'm well, thanks. So my name is Aaron's Opinion. This is the Aaron's Opinion podcast, and you're watching Aaron's Opinion TV on YouTube. You're being recorded, of course, on a live stream. So by the way, Hans, so where are you from? Tell us about yourself.
All right, so I am personally from the DRC Congo, and I can
Bienvenue.
yeah, I currently live in Asia for almost a decade, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw you once on the Discord, the Blind Cafe, and
Uh-huh.
you were talking
Really?
about your podcast. Yep.
Okay. Well, great.
And today, surprisingly, I saw you again in the international blind group, so
Mm-hmm.
thought why
Mm-hmm.
not? So I wanted to have a look and see what you actually do.
Okay. Well, basically, Hans,
So yeah.
like I said, my name is Aaron or Aaron, as I would say in French. I am a French speaker, by the way. And so, what I do is I record podcasts for the world, but I mostly speak to blind people about their experiences. And we just have a conversation about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. So if you want to have an experience where you can come and talk to me about growing up in DRC and then how you left and the great things you do now, and I would love to have you on my show, man. It would be so wonderful. And you are uh-oh.
His
I think
audio dropped out.
I think his uh-oh. Hans, are you there?
No, I don't think he is.
No, hold on. See, the thing is the software mutes him upon entry, and then I have to redo the mute. I have to redo his microphone. But if you have
Yes, I'm there. I'm back. Sorry, I got some
pas
network
grave.
glitch.
Uh-huh. Pas grave,
Yeah,
pas grave. But if you've
yeah.
always wanted an experience where you can come and share your experience, I would love to have you in the Aaron's Opinion family. So Hans, if you don't mind me asking, what country in Asia are you living in now, by the way?
Yeah, currently I'm living in India. That's where I've been for almost a decade, like almost 10 years.
Really? Well, that's
Yep.
that's 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 incredibly interesting. I've had
Yeah.
very few people from India on Aaron's Opinion, and I have
Uh-huh.
had very few people from India who grew up in DRC on Aaron's Opinion. So you have a lot of life experiences, man. What part of India are you living in?
I'm in the southern part of India,
In the southern
Bangalore. Mhm.
Bangalore. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We have never had a Bangalore affiliate of Aaron's Opinion. We've never had a
Oh
Bangalore
my
office.
gosh.
That's cool, man. We need to
Uh,
get you on my show, man. Definitely.
okay.
Are we, Hans, where did you see this invitation, by the way?
Oh, basically, I think I don't know whether it's your business account or your official account on WhatsApp. So basically, from there, I saw that you kind of did a
Mm-hmm.
promotion of the
Mm-hmm.
podcast in the group.
Are you the person, maybe did I talk to you over on WhatsApp earlier today without realizing it?
Yes, we talked today.
Okay, and I think you asked the question, can you tell me more about what going to the Zoom would entail, right?
Absolutely, yes. It's what I
Oh,
meant.
okay, that person. Right, right, right.
Yes.
Okay, I think I do know who you are, especially later today. If you want,
Mhm.
you can send me a voice note on that, and then I'll definitely remember
Yeah.
Hans. So, and I am,
Okay.
and am I saying your name well, by the way? Am I saying it properly for you, Hans?
Yeah, it is basically a German name, so Hans, Hans.
That is such
Hans.
a cool, by the way, I love the name. That is so cool. Hans
Thanks.
that's a great name for a guest and a great
Oh,
name for a
thank you.
talk show. That is a cool name. And
Oh, thank
I'm just
you.
really curious, what is your family name?
Well, my entire family, I think, to avoid a misunderstanding. So basically, I grew up in Congo. I was born there, but I came here because I wanted to come initially I wanted to come for my treatment, but
Hmm. Right, right. Well, that is very interesting. Anyway, so Hans, what questions do you want to ask Nolan? Hello? Nolan, I think the Bangalore end of the string fizzled. I think it fizzled out again. This does tend to happen when you have a lot of
Yeah,
people
it's
on a Zoom
weird.
from. Well, what it is we're using is see what it is Nolan, we're using a lot of internet band. We're using a lot of energy to create the conversation. So a lot of times, if there's even a slight interruption in the signal, that can throw them out. Okay, well, Hans, man, we'll definitely get in touch. I'll definitely we'll catch up. I'll catch up with you on the trail, as we say. So Nolan,
Hmm?
what are some questions you want to ask Aaron's opinion, by the way? Whoops, there he is
So
again. Hold
what?
on, hold on, hold on, Nolan. Hold on. Okay. Right. So Hans, what is a question that you would like to ask Nolan?
Well, I just wanted to know, is there a specific theme for the podcast? Like, what is the objective of creating it? What was the point? Like, was it to do
Hmm.
you have anything in mind when you did it?
So Nolan, he's asking you when you created Nolan's Technology and More, if there was a specific underlying objective or goal that you had in mind. Nolan.
He left us.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Oh, one second, let me check. Oh, Nolan.
Let's see.
Um,
I don't know what happened to him. He
one second, let me look for him. Nolan, I saw him. He's oh, yes, his audio is muted, but his video is on.
I think he
So,
might have no. Let me see. No, he's definitely unmute. He could definitely talk. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
so
Nolan, I think he muted without realizing
okay.
it, man. But uh,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
okay, but
Yeah, tell me.
Hans, let me just ask you, since we're just in this magical little conversation here. So Hans, you obviously know very little about Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion, but what would you want to know if you can ask me some questions about what I do?
Oh, very good. So I would also kind of guide the question toward you the same one.
Oops, hold on a second.
What?
Hold on a
Yeah,
second. Hold on a second, Hans. I'm trying to work here with Nolan. Zoom's giving him a hard time.
no problem, no problem.
Nolan, please back out, please exit, please leave the meeting and then come back into it. I don't know why it got like this, but every once in a while Zoom gets a little silly. So just leave the meeting and then come back. Okay. Okay. And Hans, yes, what questions do you
Mm.
have for me? Go ahead.
So, so basically, I would like to apply the same question on you. When you created Aaron's opinion, what inspired you? What was
Sure.
the point? Mhm,
Sure, Hans.
mm, mm,
Well, I'm 32 years old, and I created Aaron's opinion about 4 years ago in the height of the pandemic.
mm,
And I created Aaron's opinion because I felt strongly that I have, as you can tell, I love to talk. I'm a teacher and I love to talk all day. And
mm,
I noticed that there were a lot of podcasts in the blindness space, but they were not open to my opinions. And I had a problem with that.
mm,
Um,
mhm,
the the fact is that I really want to
mm,
create a space for other blind people from all walks of life, from all four corners of the universe.
mhm,
And definitely Bangalore, India definitely counts as all four corners of the universe. I've never spoken to someone, I've spoken to only one other Indian many years ago on the show.
yeah,
So I've had very few
yeah,
people from your neck of the woods.
yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's really good. Yeah, so I created this to give you, Hans, the privilege to share your life journey, to tell me everything you want me to know, and to not tell me anything you don't want me to know, but to have a positive experience with an American
Mm,
guy living in the universe who cares and wants to help you share your
mm,
story.
mm.
Yeah. Hmm.
I understand. I understand. And
Yes.
what is the reach of the podcast? Like, do you get a lot of people coming and saying, giving like, telling you they listen to it, and they
Very
what is the
little.
reach?
Very little. So as a podcaster, you have to be very patient. It's been going on for over 4 years now. but I've gotten very little feedback. So, like I was saying earlier, and before you joined, I was telling Nolan that it's very, very important to rate and review a podcast, and that's how other people find it. So it's based upon ratings and the review system. So you should review it and give us a rating and then give us a share over there in India. We do have listeners from India, but I don't recall that any of them were sending from Bangalore when they were listening. The analytic tool shows me where the downloads are coming from. I don't remember. I specifically speaking, I don't necessarily want to say what states, but I'm sure it was not Bangalore. So you can be our first Bangalore download. That would be that would be cool. That would be super cool. So Hans, are you someone that's are you an avid podcast consumer over there in India?
Well, personally, I started getting into the podcast world like not a very long time ago. I was more into since I'm visually impaired, I've noticed that the only thing that I used to consume through audio was audiobooks. Usually, when I have to watch podcasts, I often also love to watch the people talking. So I always been a bit visual. And of course, I was mostly into the typical podcasters. I've listened to Joe Rogan's here and there, but that's not my type. I was more into science podcast. So I was not into the social podcast, you see.
That's really
But
excellent.
yeah, but I think that's the kind of thing I might enjoy listening while washing dishes or doing some work around, just, you know.
I
So
had
yeah.
someone, it's very funny when people actually admit all the different places where they listen to you. I've had people who listen to me when they're at a doctor's appointment or in a hospital. Like
Uh,
I'm glad that my podcast is helping you get through your hospital stay, you know.
that's good to know.
That's
Yes.
part of the joke. Glad that I'm helping you to solve medical problems. Not don't want to give that impression, but hey, you know what? Like
Mhm.
one of my future guests told me something very important, and he said in
Mm.
America, of course, you know who the famous philosopher and children's author of the 20th century, Dr. Seuss, was, right?
Uh-huh.
And Dr. Seuss apparently said something that's very applicable in my own life and in the
Mhm.
podcast space. He said, "You don't have to be crazy to live here on Earth with us people, but it certainly
Mm.
helps." So, like,
Yeah.
and then I was joking around with this future guest, and if you keep listening, you'll know he's not here yet, but there is a future guest that I hope to get to later this week.
Absolutely.
I told him I kind of reversed the humor. I said,
Mm.
you don't have to be in a hospital to listen to Aaron's
Uh-huh.
opinion. You could listen to Aaron's opinion at home.
Absolutely.
I said, but it does help
Uh-huh.
if you are in a hospital and need a podcast to listen to. Okay.
That's
So Nolan, let's go back to you and I'll say Hans, I can already hear the episode on the tip of my ear, man. Don't you worry. Hans, I'm gonna catch up with you a little bit later. I actually want to wrap it up.
absolutely.
I'm gonna catch up with you on WhatsApp later today, man. All right?
Yeah, definitely. We'll arrange that. Definitely.
Okay. Excellent. So good to meet you, mon ami. All right?
So good. You speak French, right?
Oui, bien sûr. Uh-huh.
Ah,
And
très bien. Je parle aussi français, so that's another thing.
And by the way, for the record, I love it. I love hearing French with your beautiful Congolese accent. That is so cool. I love hearing that magical way that you speak French. I could listen to
Merci
that all
beaucoup.
day. Yeah,
Merci
exactly.
So
beaucoup, mon
the
ami.
answer. Sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting.
That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Nolan, welcome back. Let's wrap it up today. All right. This has been
Okay.
a very, very dynamic episode for sure. This has been a blast, man. Hey, I didn't even know that guy was going to come in. It just goes to show you, hey, do you want to be like Hans originally from DRC and listening to Aaron's opinion in Bangalore? Well, if you do, and you're in some other country, do what Hans just did. Click on the Zoom link wherever you see it. I'm always excited to have you in my audience. Nolan, you have finally cleared the turbulence and have finally gotten back to. So
Yes.
you finally gotten back to us. So I just want to say, Nolan, you did a great job today covering these technology topics, and I definitely want to catch up with you later today. I do have some other projects today, and we're doing some stuff around our office, but you should expect a call from me later today. I do have to. It's pretty cool now. I have to call. Actually, I have to make two other phone calls, all podcast related. So really magical, actually. But yes, that is all good. So Nolan, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they could get in touch with Nolan?
As of right
Mm-hmm.
now, I would like to hold off on that because
Totally,
of privacy
totally okay.
concerns.
Totally okay. I tell you what, click the link in the description, and later today we'll work on writing up a description where at least they could find your podcast if they wanted to listen to it. All right?
Okay.
All right, man. All right.
And so, the answer to Han's question,
Mm-hmm.
um, the reason I wanted to start the podcast is I want to set a goal focusing on how to get more people involved in my podcast
Mm-hmm.
to
Which is very
help,
difficult. Yeah.
yeah, to not only interview them, get to know them, and also work on app and product app demos and device demonstrations as well, and
Mm-hmm.
also do some fun stuff on the podcast that I've never done before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that
Right.
is my goal for this
Right.
year. And
Absolutely.
that's what I want to continue.
Well, that's really good, man. Well, we will definitely put your podcast in the description notes for you, and I really hope that you now are a member of VisionCast. I wish you the very best of luck with your interactions with them and with your episodes that you record with them. Remember, I am only an associate member of VisionCast, so I'm certainly not in charge over there. But you are in very good hands as long as you are in with VisionCast and all our great buddies over there. So that's a great place. That is a
Yes.
great place to start for sure. Yeah.
However, I'm not officially a team member yet. I'm just still a
Mm-hmm.
member,
Mm-hmm.
a active listener, and a active member
Right.
on the email list.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right.
And
Well,
from time to time, and you know, and
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, this is gonna be my first time meeting Stacy Rachel Gallagher
Right.
tomorrow on Zoom because she was gone last week
Mm-hmm.
because of a friend of hers had to go for surgery. So
Right. Okay. But so that's fine. So anyway, guys, click the link in the description to learn more about Nolan, and we will see you guys next time. So, so Nolan, do you know how I end an episode of Aaron's Opinion? Do you know what I say?
not really.
Not a
I,
problem.
I
We say,
listened to it. I listened to it, but it was hard
mm-hmm.
to understand.
Oh, no problem. We say thank you for joining us today. Keep
Thank you
podcasting.
for joining us
Right.
today
Keep
and
podcasting.
keep podcasting.
And we say, help one person today, help 1
Help
million people tomorrow.
help one person today. Help 1 million people tomorrow.
Perfect. For those of you who are still surviving, for those of you who still survived on YouTube, welcome back. We will be back hopefully later this week. I'm very sure that later this week you'll be able to have more experiences here on Aaron's Opinion. So keep looking and keep joining the Zoom meetings, and just another great episode of Aaron's Opinion. So take care, Nolan. Thank you for joining us, and we will certainly be back soon. Have a very good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is when you're listening, and we'll be back soon. Take care, everybody. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Help one person today. Help one.